Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson, a World Alternative Media here, and of course we're joined by author and economic analyst here, I'm John Sneisen. And before we get into the main story here that we're going to present to you today, I just wanted to mention, because of course we're going to get comments about it, is a lot of people will say, well, Iceland, a few years ago, they jailed their bankers. Well, wow, that's great. That sounds great. A lot of people saying you should move to Iceland because they jailed their bankers. Well, I feel like that isn't doing it justice. The fact of the matter is, yes, they jailed a bunch of bankers, and hey, I'm not shedding a tear over that
No,
at
they
all.
deserve
That's a
it.
great thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they deserve it. However, it's not necessarily the bankers that are the problem. It's what the bankers do that's the problem. And basically, yeah, throw them in jail, but then they just replace them with other bankers and start doing the same thing. And that's a major part of the problem there in Iceland. There is a fundamental issue with the understanding regarding what central planning is, what all this debt, where all this debt comes from, and not to mention the derivatives market that they face as well. And we're going to get right into that from the perspective of the housing market and the debt. Now, John, you were telling me about this crazy property bubble that's starting to grow in Iceland that shows signs of really a catastrophic end. So, can you go into what on earth is happening and what it means?
Yeah. Well, first, before I go into that, I want to just say one thing. I want to quote one of my friends that I work with. He says about politicians, and I'm going to say this is about the bankers: same shit, different package. That's exactly what it is. You get the same corrupt system with borrowing money en masse. And of course, in a tiny little place like Iceland, they have to create these bubbles because they won't make that much money in Iceland, unfortunately, these bankers.
Yeah, they're
But
just the machine that does the bad stuff
yeah.
that people are rightly so concerned about. They're just machines that do all of this pencil pushing and cause all these problems. Replacing the machine to continue doing making the same problems isn't going to fix the root cause of the issue, which so many of us face in most places in the world. And Iceland is not immune to this. Iceland is seeing a lot of really potential massive, not just potential, like a definite massive risk in the future.
Well, so first of all, their private debt to GDP number is quite insane as well. It's over 300% to GDP, the private debt. Wow. In Iceland. Of course, it's gone down from 380 in 2014, but the problem is it's still massive. And now what's happening in Reykjavik, of course, that's the main driver, really the only big massive city in Iceland. What is happening is for this quarter, the first quarter from 2016 to the first quarter of 2017, they saw a massive growth in their real estate market of 17.8% on an average. That is by far beyond any average of any country in the world.
Yeah.
Now, there's of course places that we had Victoria in BC that was 30%.
British Columbia, Canada,
yeah.
for those in Iceland watching.
Yeah. But what's interesting is Iceland's the number one in the world for growth in the housing market. It's insane. What is happening is they actually passed Hong Kong, which is 14.4%, New Zealand 13.8%, Canada 13.5%, Turkey 13.3%, 12.6% in Malta, 11% in the Czech Republic, Estonia has 10.7%, Hungary has 10.5%, and China 10.3%. Now, that is insane, even the 10% number over a year. It's bubbles, and what we're seeing is these massive bubbles all over the world. They're growing en masse with this debt volcano, we could call it, since we're talking about Iceland, and it's about to erupt. It's you got a whole bunch of the whole belt of volcanoes in Iceland that goes through the sheets there. They're gonna start erupting one by one by one.
Yeah, this isn't free market demand we're talking about. This is massive inflated demand based on manipulation.
Yeah, by the central banks. They lower their interest rates to historically low levels, and now we're seeing the reaction to it is mass amounts of debt accumulation around the world, and we are in a catastrophe. We are on our way to a super volcanic cataclysm of debt that's just gonna destroy and put us back into the dark ages, because we're continuing. We're not willing to stop it, so we're continuing to blow it and blow it and blow it and make it just into, like, it was a tiny little volcano to start with, but now it's turned into a super volcano, and we're not gonna, the whole world is not gonna really recover from this. We're probably gonna have a famine for, tens, like a decade, or more.
Well, I would add to that, though, not necessarily, because I mean,
you got to know what you're doing.
Yeah,
you got to be smart.
Well, yeah, you have to build it up from scratch on a free market level. Like, the thing is, as long as it's manipulated, as long as it's put off, the more it's going to come down on us, and that's always been the case. And while it looks grim, there are ways to get out of this situation, of course, which we're going to go into at the end of the video. But I think it's important to mention that we've seen, like, these bank involvement where we see things like collateralized debt obligations that go back to 2007, 2008 in a recession in the United States, which also affected Canada. Then we also have seen things in Canada where we see huge bubbles in the Toronto real estate market and the Vancouver real estate market, where the Bank of Montreal is giving out these mortgage-backed securities. We see all these inflations of that bubble popping up, no pun intended, all over the place. And we're just going to continue to see this happen again and again at a bigger scale, at a bigger scale, at a bigger scale, until people understand why this happens and why it causes such a dangerous atmosphere for individuals, when the free market can easily take over from the public's demand, individual demand, where we see only monopolies and high prices based on demand and value of individuals, not propping up by the state, not propping up by the banking system. And that is a key point to put into this. But let's go into the solution. So we often talk about self-sustainability, self-responsibility. You can't have liberty without self-responsibility. You can't have one without the other. So food, water, shelter, defense, and most important when it comes to being able to provide for your family, because obviously not everyone knows how to farm, and you can't grow crops in one day, and you can't go out hunting all the time. Not people nowadays. Let's face it, folks. Most kids are indoors most of the time playing video games. You need to have the ability to buy things. Otherwise, we'll have the starvation and famines that we're talking about. And on top of that, we'll have the inability to, continuously feed our family and provide products in a free market after the crash. And a free market can recover quickly in this case, where we'll actually see a lot of prosperity in the crash. It just depends on individuals having that information and being able to apply that information. John?
Yeah, no, it's so important to do this and start, controlling your own life and not being dependent on the government or the banks in order for you to thrive. Because when you get that independence from these two systems, you will become a truly free individual, and you can start taking control over your life and feel a lot more safe in the matter of, these bubbles will burst, and you would sit there and be okay. It's not going to be fun because there's going to be people suffering around me.
Yeah.
But at least I know that I'll be taken care of, and
my family.
Yeah, and things are going to be good. So it's so important to have all these insurances in place. You insure your house, and you need to insure your life from fiat destruction.
Yeah, absolutely. And like a great example is, a lot of people will say, well, gold and silver, well, the banks manipulate that. Yeah, as we've reported on, of course, the banks manipulate it. We see the ETFs, we see all these problems. But once the economy crashes, so will the chains. The chains will break from the banking system and gold and silver, and we'll see a skyrocket in value.
They can't manipulate the physical presence of gold and silver.
No, historic
you can't fix the demand of that. When it's just physical, you'll see just a tremendous collapse, and people will not actually take your money. Like, people wouldn't even want to get fiat for the gold. Like, you would just have to trade the gold.
No, you could put that paper in your mattress all day and it'll just devalue, and then it'll be worth nothing more than just putting in your fireplace. But look, I mean, there's also that, and then something that the government can't stand, which is decentralization. So Bitcoin, that which is like the cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, Ethereum. I personally love Steam, or Steemit, the blog where you make money to post. It's a great innovation, the future of social media in my personal view. And it's all these really simple ideas that look very complicated complicated and scare a lot of people off. But in a dollar crash, these things are going to go just rampant. They're just going to, skyrocket in value, and people are going to be made very wealthy off of it, in my opinion.
Well, people will flood to anything that's not the Canadian dollar, the American dollar, or the Icelandic krona.
Absolutely.
That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to see this continue to happen. People becoming more educated, applying that education in order to ensure themselves and their wealth and their family, and hopefully spread that information to their friends in order to escape that inevitable crash, which will happen. The fundamentals are off the table, folks. You can't put a date on it, but you know it's going to happen. And of course, in this kind of society, the establishment wants us in debt. They shove us down that bottomless pit of debt, and we're forced to ask for a ladder up from the government and the banking system, and that's servitude. And we cannot fall for that trap, folks. So thanks, John, for going into this, and we'll be back at you with much more on this subject. Thanks to our Icelandic viewers, and we hope that you take something out of this video. But until next time, check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon. We can't do it without you here at WHAM. Any donation is very much appreciated, especially as we are so incredibly demonetized and censored by YouTube. Also, check our Bitcoin address in the description and the comments, as well as on the screen for you to scan, if you please. And check that link for the Red Pill Expo, folks, where you could see people like G. Edward Griffin, Robert Kiyosaki, Lord Monckton, James Corbett, Jeff Berwick, Ty Bollinger, Mike Adams, Joel Salatin, John Rappaport, Cynthia McKinney, so many more incredible people on June 23rd to 24th in Bozeman, Montana. You won't want to miss it, and we hope to see you there.
Exactly. No, we look forward to it. It's days away now, and we're gonna make it a lot of fun down there, and we're going to bring you some really hard-hitting information.
Yeah, a lot of people are going to come out with of that, not just with the information, but like we said, ways to apply that information. So Thanks for watching, everyone, and until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson and John Sneisen signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.